it so well, wasn't he? And he just loves talking about his technology. I'd like to just, though, share two very, very simple things with you. Maybe it'll help. What is a blockchain? I would describe it as an Excel spreadsheet on steroids. Stop. It's a database which is very, very secure and safe. Number two, and this is probably the most important thing, and it's something we write about week in, week out in Digital Bytes. If you can take one message about blockchain, and that is it gives you transparency. Greater transparency leads to greater trust, and that's one of the powerful benefits behind it. But without further ado, I'd like to introduce Thomas to come on stage for a next session, looking at how, please come on, looking at how NFTs are being used in the gaming sector. So, Thomas, over to you. Thank you. Yeah.
Hi there. I'm Thomas Huxter from Raptor PR. I'm a director, and we work primarily with video games industry and Web3 gaming brands. This is the panel on integrating NFTs into gaming and the potential benefits and applications of that technology. If you guys could introduce yourselves, that would be awesome.
Don't leave. Back.
No one cares about games.
Yeah.
Totally back. All right, so my name is Gleb. I am a co-founder and a CEO of Game Trade. We are a Web3, I guess, marketplace and ecosystem for like Web3 games. And currently we just finished like the technical aspect of things, and it's like our first public appearance, I guess. So yeah, I'm happy to talk about Web3 gaming here.
Cool.
Hi, I'm Ian Hambleton. I'm CEO of Emergent Games. We're making Resurgence, which is a AAA MMO RPG, free-to-play, that's launching quite a long time in the future. But we have lots of different drops and things along the way.
Yeah, some of you may have seen me on me talking about the metaverse. That's because I'm the co-founder of ChainGuardians and Cryptoverse. I was part of the panel, but somehow my beautiful face has escaped the screen. I don't know how that's happened. But anyway, yeah, so ChainGuardians is, well, it's got a multitude of different kind of decentralized gamification opportunities, from the world's first NFT mining platform, enabling users to stake their NFTs, both in terms of like NFTs from outside of our gaming ecosystem as well as inside as well. We have an RPG which is set to be play and earn, and also like the ability to stake NFTs to earn fractionalized tokens, stake them to earn NFTs, and loads of other kind of cool stuff like that.
Hi, I'm Alamri. I'm an NHS surgeon by day. I came here just to heckle Matt Hancock. Yeah, no, but I missed Mr. Hancock, so shame. I'm co-founder and CEO of co-founder and CEO of Hundreds and Thousands, which is an indie devolver digital, and that's the hope. But we're a small indie game studio focused on Web3.
I'm Bux, and I'm a fangirl of Alex, it would appear. I work for Gala. Up here it says Gala Games. You may or may not have heard of us. We're a US-based company, but we're really global, as you can see from me sat here. And actually, we're not just games. We're music and film, and we're bringing entertainment into the new world. But today, I'm going to talk about games with these lovely gentlemen.
Yeah, and I think actually, so Sarah may have to shoot off at some point. So if we start with
You're
you,
a very
Sarah.
long way away, Tom, just so you know.
Sorry, say that again?
I can barely hear you. You're so
really?
far away. This is the biggest panel I've ever done.
It is a massive oversubscribed panel, but that's, yeah, the interest in NFTs in gaming is clearly huge. So starting with you, Sarah, if you don't mind, I guess, giving us, as somebody who's been in the industry a little while, giving us a kind of the lowdown on where you think we are with kind of Web3 gaming and NFTs in gaming, and what the kind of lessons of the past kind of 12 to 18 months have been.
I think the summary is, have you enjoyed a Web3 game? Because I suspect the answer is no. So first of all, we realize that games probably should be fun, otherwise they shouldn't really be called games. Then we realize that if something sounds too good to be true, it probably is play to earn. That's a disaster. Because what happened was people juiced the economy so badly, and we talk about faucets and sinks, American company, right? So tokens flowing into a system need a way to go out of the system for those tokens to have value. And we learned some of those lessons the hard way as well. So what have we learned? That, we don't really want to talk about blockchain. I don't really want to talk about NFTs. I want to talk about content ownership, I want to talk about experience, and I want to talk about fun. And if you do those three things and you can deliver a good game, gamers will come and the industry will continue to flourish. And I think that's what we've realized is if we want to be big, we've got to be better. That's it. Very simple.
Thank you, that's really interesting. And it'd be great to hear actually from each of the three guys in the middle, I guess, separately on their point of view as creators of games, some more established, some more kind of newer or more indie, what you see as the benefits of NFTs are and Web3 technology in general for game creators. Does it help with funding games? Does it help with building a community? Does it help with that kind of ownership that Sarah was talking about? Maybe starting with Alex.
Thank you. And I think you hit the nail on the head absolutely there, boiling down everything to experience and fun and just taking away the words blockchain. And I think you'll find that a lot of people will flock to it. But with regards to this question, from a small indie creator's perspective, NFTs are a very double-edged sword. You have to really maintain a fine line between a pre-sale of your product, which everybody wrinkles their nose at and nobody really likes, because really that's the old model. That's the pre-order your Call of Duty game 3 months in advance, queue up on the street or online, and then get your game and play it. We've done that over a year and a half ago in GameFi, the beginnings of GameFi. The play-to-earn ecosystems came up, they crashed, they burned, and now those of us building in a bear market are left to tidy up the pieces and deal with the carnage and fallout from that. Now, when you talk about, you mentioned creativity, experience, and fun, as a small indie game studio, when people say indie, they should think quirky, cool, colorful, fun, independent. It's what's on the tin, right? Now, the NFTs and gamer ownership of their assets or their content means that you have the ability to pull your community tighter into you as a small company or as a small development team. And it means that it makes a company that feels like a family-run business still feel like family. We've been practicing this with our main NFT project and IP, Creepy Creams, over the past year, where we focused on not mass marketing, not getting Discord bots, and just kind of making the community feel more like a tight-knit family. And that means that they hold on to their NFTs and they value their NFTs because they feel a close connection to them. They don't buy them to flip them, they buy them because I love that one, and I love those augments, and I love that armor, and I love this. And even if the floor price is tanking, and we have to talk about floor prices, they hold on. They don't care because they have bought into an idea. And I think that's a really important part of what NFTs can bring to smaller gaming companies. Buying a gun skin on Call of Duty, there's nothing personal about that. Everybody else on the server has got one. But when you have a unique NFT that represents you as a person, that links you to a small independent company, I think that's some connection that you truly cannot replicate. That's my take.
What was the question again?
As a developer of games in general, what would you say are the benefits for game creators?
I mean, the idea of what the benefits of an NFT should be for a game creator is, from my perspective, probably the wrong question. I think it should be, what are the benefits of the NFT for the user and driving the kind of the value of that NFT back to the users, whether it's games, whether it's a piece of art NFT, a social kind of, utility. But I think for me, and, just to kind of touch on like what Sarah said, I completely agree with everything she said. And I think that the kind of the key fundamental issue with at the moment that with regards to NFTs is that people are probably putting a lot of emphasis onto speculative purchase of them rather than utility. And I think that has come unstuck a little bit because there's just been so many sort of PFP projects flying around. And I think that as developers, what it has hopefully made most developers realize that are using and utilizing NFTs in their ecosystems is that the fundamental importance, and specifically with regards to games, is utility. And I think that that's, the beauty of what benefits users is the utility. How can they use that asset?
And Ian, thinking of, benefits for users, so you've worked on various kind of Web2 kind of metaverse projects with IP, like Peak Blinders. Why did you choose to kind of get to work into Web3 gaming, and what do you think the benefits are for players?
So so the background on our studio, we're about 65 developers. Most of us are from PlayStation and Sumo and Codemasters and various games. And we've brought together a team in Web3. Some of the guys, weirdly, today are at EGX, which is another conference for gaming over there. One day these two worlds will collide and we'll all be together. I think it's really exciting, this space. I think GameFi, it's like probably the biggest subject going on in Web3. And the reason is people get it. People get that basically if in Fortnite you could buy a skin and you could not just give your money to Epic, you could have it back and you could trade it, and if it became valuable, that I totally believe in decentralized ownership and decentralized gaming. I don't really care about crypto and I don't really care about even NFTs, but I do believe in the philosophy of people having shared ownership. So for us, our core philosophy is like game first. Like no one will play your game if it's not fun. Ownership will be a secondary driver, but you have to make an amazing game. So we're focused on making amazing games that are fun. But there is something really cute about this world, because if you align the interests of content creators, us here, and audiences, and they play your game for 20 hours or 50 hours or 100 hours, and they have shared ownership, they will talk about you forever and they will love it. And I think that is why this space is really exciting, interesting to work in. I think there's loads of innovations too that we haven't even started to talk about. So that's why I'm excited about it, if you're in it for the right reasons, which is to make great games.
And Gleb, to put you on the spot here, if there are all these benefits and potential benefits for gamers, why do you think there has, maybe it's a vocal minority, maybe it's the majority, but why do you think there's been a hostile reaction in lots of quarters from gamers?
As a gamer myself, we lived through microtransactions, we lived through loot boxes, and now people are talking about NFTs as if it's one of those things, and it makes sense. The NFT industry overall is very young in terms of gaming, and as any other young industry, there'll be a lot of scam projects, there'll be a lot of quick cash grab projects, and this is why I guess the reputation of the technology itself is, if you think of NFTs, typical gamer will say, yeah, it's a Ponzi scheme, it's a pyramid scheme, it's a scam, it's a quick cash grab, just like loot boxes. Big developers want to screw us over. That's why the whole, if I'm correct, Ubisoft tried to do something similar with their digits, I think. Yeah, they call it digits. Their whole turnover was $2,000 and the project flopped. That's because gamers didn't like the technology and they didn't like how the big companies use this technology and how they promoted this technology. What people talked about here is important. The main product should be the game. It should be something that you enjoy and you play repetitively. It should be a good gameplay loop, something you enjoy. Take CSGO, for example. Millions of people play CSGO, and skins is just a side thing. People can buy skins, they don't have to buy skins, they don't have to open the loot boxes. but those who enjoy, they enjoy. Some just enjoy the game without skins, some enjoy game with skins. Everybody is different. And imagine a game like CSGO where the gameplay loop is fun and repetitive and you can play, hundreds of hours. And the NFT is just as a side technology which provides a real ownership. That's what's important, I think. Important part is not focusing on NFTs as like the main thing and something like, you can earn. Play to earn model is not sustainable and it's pretty much dead. So people should think of how to, integrate NFTs into other game ecosystems and how it could be beneficial. And that's a big task for, game developers. Yeah.
Very nice, thank you. Sarah, as somebody who's, I guess if I understand correctly, kind of taking more of an ecosystem approach to blockchain gaming and NFTs, with interoperability of potentially of assets and things like that, how do you see, as Gleb said, there is an established market for in-game items, for example, but typically it's unsanctioned on a black market and kind of forbidden by the platform owner. So how do you see NFTs solving that, and how do you avoid, a Gala or an Animoca potentially becoming just another closed platform?
It's a really good question, and you mentioned my favorite word, which is interoperable. So whether I don't know why you guys are here specifically. You might be here because you're massive gamers. You might be here because you're blockchain enthusiasts, or you might have that little bit of anarchy inside you that says, why do these companies grow so big and take so much and leave me with very little? I want my own data, I want my own power. Maybe that's why you're here. I think the key is, with whatever reason you're here for, whether it's because you enjoy playing games, whether it's because you want to listen to music, or you believe, I was talking to Paul earlier, who was on the stage, you believe that there's a better way to do fashion. Because blockchain as a system has never really hit the mass market yet. And the reason it's never really hit the mass market, and why my mum doesn't know what it is because it's not interesting. It's been very, very practical. And you had a politician or an ex-politician, I'm not sure, on here earlier. And even in my world, when we were talking about blockchain before, it was finance and insurance and security. And like, nobody's ever going to get out of bed and like, woohoo, we're going to revolutionize banking, unless you're a consultant, in which case you're absolutely going to get out of bed and want to revolutionize banking. So gaming has given us this platform and this ability to actually let people understand what this means without all the bullshit, without all the hype, we're not solving world hunger, we're not building rockets like Elon, we're literally putting games on the blockchain. And we're saying, because they're on the blockchain and because there's NFTs, the only thing they're doing is they're verifying that you own this specific thing and it's yours. And what's interesting with gaming specifically, because I know that's what we're talking about, stay on topic, Bucks, is with NFTs, they can be dynamic. So say, for example, you have a sword in a game. And that sword, after many hours of you grinding, figures out how to kill a dragon. That sword knows that it killed a dragon. That's interesting. Bearing in mind there's only 100 swords in this particular game title that's ever killed a dragon. And that means when that sword sees another dragon, it knows what to do. Now, do you think somebody that does have money in the free-to-play market makes 98% of its income from less than 3% of its player base? So just think on that for a minute. When somebody wants to up a level, they can go and buy that sword off of you and say, hey, I want that item. So it allows, there is the beautiful, altruistic communities coming together, actually having an opinion on a game. Gala's got 28 games in development, and I'm certainly going to be talking to these chaps, that we're supporting. They own all their own IP, they're in complete creative control, and they're building in front of the community, not behind closed doors. And that means they're building these player bases before they even get to alpha, before they get to beta, before they get to full release. So we've got a huge and a long way to go, but the whole point of you know, if you want to talk about NFTs, it's about the creativity they unlock, about the content ownership they give players, and about the fact that developers for once can get paid rather than a couple of key, big, overbearing corporations taking all the money from them, because that's not okay, and I've had enough. So put that on music, put that on film, put that on any creative industry you like. We're coming for you. We're coming.
Thank you very much, Sarah. I know you have to shoot off. We're running a little bit behind. Thank you so much.
She didn't drop the mic. She should have dropped the mic off.
Oh, yeah. Well, you've got your own mic now. You can be happy. And I think the correct term is disgraced politician, by the way, but it's still current. So, Robbie, you know, thinking of what Sarah just said about the value that NFTs add to gamers, what we've seen previously with other notable projects is potentially inability to stop people kind of cashing out returns from a game or selling an item and taking that value out of the ecosystem. So how do you think we can prevent that?
How do I what, sorry?
Sorry?
How do I what?
How do you as a Web3 game or an NFT game prevent users kind of, you know, regardless of fun or not, I guess, seeing it as a way to generate returns and then removing that value into fiat money or another token, for example?
Well, I think it's quite a big question, because I guess if you look at I think most people in the audience will probably heard of, like, you know, the flagship blockchain gaming project, which was Axie. It was obviously became like a unicorn, had huge backing and so on. And then lately we've seen quite a few incidents occur with regards to Axie, and specifically around, let's say, the centralization of their chain, a 51% attack. It's nothing new. That's been happening for quite some time. And that's what happens when you essentially set up an ecosystem around centralized principles. Or that's the risk you run. It's not obviously necessarily going to definitely happen. So I think in terms of, it's about mindset. The reason that projects will look to keep the value in the ecosystem is obvious to optimize revenue flow. It's to ensure that the system is sustainable and that, you know, it's not going to fail. So if you've got a play to earn model, then any value that leaves that ecosystem is not good. However, I think it really depends on, you know, where your philosophy is as a company. Are you embracing, you know, the model of, you know, at the very top, you've got the owners of the company, the owners of the ecosystem, they set the rules, and then the players are on the bottom, and they're the ones that are, you know, kind of have to subscribe to the rules that you put in place within your ecosystem? Or are you embracing decentralization, and are you inverting that model? And actually it's the players at the top, and actually the players are the ones that are governing, and those are the part of a DAO or otherwise, and the ones at the bottom are actually, you know, the actual creators, the founders, the developers, and they are taking that feedback and they are funneling that towards decentralization. So for ourselves at ChainGuardians, I think we set the stall very early. We created an NFT mining platform. It enabled essentially any partner gaming ecosystem to add their NFTs onto the platform and stake them in order to earn other rewards. Those rewards could be their tokens, those rewards could be our tokens, and there was like a chance of you earning any of these tokens. Why I'm saying that? Because that's a decentralized principle. You can use NFTs where there's no direct value to our platform. You haven't necessarily purchased an NFT from ChainGuardians, but you still might extract value from that. And that's a decentralized ideology. The issue with that is that we found is that actually most projects in the space, even when we were kind of going to them and offering this as an opportunity, didn't want that. They wanted centralization. They came to us and they went, how can I take this IP that you have with this NFT mining platform and just take it for my own NFTs and just reward the owners of my NFTs in our ecosystem? And we're like, well, you can't. You're not doing that because it's completely against the principles of decentralization. So first of all, it's a case of making sure that we as the creators, we as the founders of the projects are coming from a mindset of user first and not revenue or founder first.
Very interesting, thank you. I'll open this one up, I guess, to the floor, as it were. In creating a sustainable, NFT or Web3 economy, you're building a game. Does every single item in the game need to be an NFT? Does the fabric of the game, the land in the game need to be an NFT? Or, how do you see that working?
Yeah, I mean, that's probably the million-dollar question, right? In terms of building in tokenomics into a Web3 game. And I think that most companies and most projects will try, that's sprinting. Making a real-world economy in a video game, that's more than sprinting, that's flying. Because we can't get an economy right in real life. So we've got esteemed members of parliament here, so I'm sorry. But, if we can't get it right in real life, and it's subject to black swan events and all these other problems, why do you think that somebody who is not an economist or not part of the Ministry of Finance for a country would be able to do that? I think it's hubris. Now, there's also the second point of, if we have a whole genre and we have a whole generation of players, Gen Z, whatever, players like my co-founder Tom and me, who grew up on Super Mario, Zelda, Final Fantasy, Counter-Strike, who didn't know about the blockchain, didn't care about the blockchain, didn't even really microtransact that much. We're trying to get all of these people to not just like the blockchain and like NFTs, but use them and buy them, and then buy into your game. So that's more than double-edged. That's setting yourself up for failure. So the way that we're trying to do things at hundreds and thousands is be very, very subtle. And in fact, some may say deceptive. The blockchain is not a core part of what we do for games. The fact that we here, sitting as a panel of so-called experts on gaming and the blockchain, I say so-called because it's a very young niche that we're in, right? So we sit here and we talk about it, and we say things like game first. The fact that we have to talk about the concept of game first when we're making video games shows you exactly what is wrong and what we need to turn back on. And last year's bull run really, really damaged everybody's view on not just GameFi, but the blockchain and NFTs. What we have to do as gaming partners, collaborators, companies, is really, really slowly and delicately bring that trust back. And that's really hard. That's like being a minister of parliament. So, we need to take that very, very slowly. And if that means we don't even build the blockchain into our games at the very beginning, then that's what we need to do. If that means bringing a player base in and accepting that we plan that in 6 months' time, we're going to introduce Web3 functionality to our player base, and accept that 80% of those players will leave and not want to play our game, we may need to take that. And we may need to take that in our stride and say that small 20% of traditional gamers that we onboarded, we can now use those as evangelists for our community and hopefully build it up that way. You're not going to be able to get Ubisoft to come in and say, yeah, we're going to fund your game, we're going to help you make it, we're going to market it for you, and it's going to be under the Ubisoft umbrella. It's just not going to happen.
Thank you. We've just got a couple of minutes left. So I wanted to hear, thinking of what Alex just said about how to introduce those mechanics or those tokenomics, whatever it is. We talk a lot about onboarding gamers to Web3. What do you think is the best way to do that? Should it be, invisible? Should it be custodial wallets? Should we be educating people about how to use Web3 technology? How do you see that?
So I think one of the big problems that we have currently with Web3 games is the onboarding is a total nightmare. Axie last year, you had to put down £500 or $500 to play it, and you didn't know if you're going to lose it instantly. It's just a nightmare. We take a lot of our inputs from what's happening in free-to-play and freemium. I think you know, what we're trying to do is make it like a seamless experience, completely frictionless. The reason we're saying free to play is we're confident that they'll connect to the blockchain later because they'll want to take ownership. But really, it's simple, sort of open your bucket as high as wide as it can at the top, get loads of players in, get them loving the game, remind them over time that they can choose to own a wallet. That's like the gift that keeps giving, right? You play it for 20 hours, you get told, oh, if you connect your wallet, there's probably $50 of NFTs here that you can do. You go for another 2 weeks, right? That's, you know, so I think that's really our approach, is like take a lot of influence from what's been good in freemium and free to play, and then bring in blockchain and make that an amazing payoff for people.
Awesome. And Gleb, anything to add there? You've got a minute to give a hot take.
I'll try. So I think one important aspect as well would be transparency. Like, you need to understand opinions of all people that like coming to your platform, your game, doesn't matter. You need to understand why the haters are hating. You need to understand why lovers are loving. And you need to have an open dialogue with them and try to present your ideas well. And, you know, kind of, you know, if people hate NFTs, you need to listen to what they have to say. And then, like, you know, bring your opinion, bring your solution forward to them. Another aspect, everybody already mentioned it, is you need to make a good game for people to play it. If you don't make a good game, no one will play it. Like, okay, there will be people trying to, you know, like before, okay, last year, people would be like playing play-to-earn games, but they weren't playing for the sake of playing, they were playing for the sake of earning, and earning is a task, and it turns the whole thing into a job, and it gets boring, and then people, you know, don't enjoy it anymore. And I mean, the whole like play-to-earn model is not very sustainable, so people, like, you know, don't earn much from it later on, and they just leave. You need to have a good, repetitive gameplay loop in the game for people to be interested, and you need to be transparent with the players about what you're doing in the game. Yeah, I think that's it.
Thank you everybody for turning out, and thank you to all our experts here today. I think that's us. Thanks.